Memphis.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. If it's your first time here on this channel on Boosted MPLS, please check out some of the other videos as well. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. It helps out a lot. Today we're going to be taking the Acura NSX out on a test drive. The folks over at Buerkle Acura were generous enough to allow us to have a test drive. They threw out on a little event and had some people go on a test drive. David, who I will leave his information, David is the Acura NSX specialist at the dealership. He is kind of the NSX guru, knows everything about it. So David brought along his 360 camera. We got some pretty cool footage of that. The audio was okay, but nonetheless it was cool footage. It was sweet. Yeah, so it was pretty cool footage nonetheless. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the video. Enjoy.
So, right now we're in the regular kind of a sport mode.
Okay.
To put the car in drive, foot on the brake, we just push the circle button right here. In this mode, it will allow you to get up to 35 to 45 miles an hour fully electric if you're really, really gentle. Usually, you'll kind of get rolling on the electric and then the engine will kick in pretty quickly here. Okay. But anytime you're off the throttle, slowing down, coming to a brake, it'll turn the engine off and kind of use the electric power. You can see the battery on the right-hand side there.
Yep.
Very, very small battery, so you'll see that charging and depleting a lot while we're driving. So we're going to head out this way here. So you do also have a quiet mode, which you can schedule the car to start in that mode before 9 a.m. or after 8 p.m. or whatever you might want.
Sure.
So there's quiet mode, sport mode, which is kind of what it starts in. We'll take a right here and then a right at the first stoplight.
Okay.
And then Sport Plus mode is what I end up driving in most of the time.
Okay.
Once we make this right, we're going to make a quick left at that light.
Okay.
And then once we get around there, I'll flip you into Sport. Sport Plus is going to... we'll make a quick left here, so I want to get all the way over. Sport Plus is going to keep the gasoline engine on all the time. It's going to try and give you as much of the power from the engine and the electric motors working all together at the same time.
Gotcha.
That one is... that's really where you get a feel for the car. This is what you would drive it in if you're not, in something like this.
Yeah.
Stop and go around town, it's nice and comfy. On the freeway, in 9th gear, you can be doing 70 miles an hour, and the engine is sitting at 2,000 RPMs. So it is very comfortable. I've done 300+ mile road trips in the car. My girlfriend slept in the passenger seat the whole time.
Sure.
So it's plenty comfortable. Seats are great.
How does the 9 gears?
Yeah. So the easiest way to think about it is first gear is a launch gear.
Okay.
So the car will never downshift into first gear.
Oh, sure.
9th gear is a fuel economy cruising gear. So think of it like a 7-speed dual clutch.
Yep.
That's the way you have to drive the car.
Okay.
We'll want to be in this right lane here. And at the 3rd stoplight, we'll make a right.
Okay.
So
on 81?
Yeah. So I'll flip you into Sport. You'll hear the exhaust valves opened up a little bit.
Yep.
Gasoline engine's always going to stay on.
Gotcha.
What I like about this car is it bases how you're driving on what it's doing with the transmission. So if you're driving really hard, it's going to let you wind it out.
Gotcha.
Right, like this, we're still driving it like a normal car, so it's not going to have us sit at 5,000 RPMs because it can tell we're not doing that.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll follow this car here and make a right. For an example, the hybrid battery in this car, it's 1/10 of the size of the battery that's in a 918. It's tiny. Wow. Yeah. And then we're gonna take 169 to 610.
Okay.
So we'll want to stay in this lane.
The throttle is very responsive.
Yeah, especially in this mode.
Yeah, and I'm kind of comparing everything to the GTR.
Yeah,
That's all I...
so and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. What I feel between driving the two, the GTR takes corners and it feels like it shouldn't be able to do what it's doing.
That's for sure.
This car feels like you can do 10 times more than what you're currently doing.
Sure.
So they do very similar things,
Yeah.
but it feels very different.
That's interesting.
So we're going to take the North 169 ramp here. If you want to kind of slow down and give this car some room in front of us, we can get a good pull on this ramp.
Okay, sure. I don't know if I just
we can even slow down a little bit more. Nope, you're good. A couple seconds because we will catch up quick. As soon as you can't see them anymore, just punch it.
Such a good analogy.
And we'll have some really good, we'll have a couple clover leaves up here, and we're going to have another long sweep around the 60.
Gotcha. It's all-wheel drive as well?
So it is technically,
or
there's no physical connection between the front and rear axle, because the front electric motors are completely independent, not only of the back, but also of each other left and right.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll take the 610 east.
Okay.
And so most of your horsepower is on the back axle.
Sure,
like 500 of the horsepower comes from the gasoline engine on its own. There's an electric motor between the engine and transmission, which is 47 horsepower, but 109 pound-feet of torque.
Gotcha.
If you want to take the carpool lane to get around these guys, certainly feel free. And it gives you that torque from like 100 to 1500 RPMs.
Oh, sure.
So that back electric motor is purely for torque.
Sure.
We'll stay in this lane to do the Broadway.
Okay.
So we're going to do both clover leaves here.
Gotcha.
To go back that direction.
The one thing that I love about this is when you're in automatic mode is much more aggressive than the GTR for sure.
Yes.
Like I could drive like this all the time and be okay with it.
Guys that take these to the track just leave it in automatic.
Yeah, I believe it.
Because then even here, we'll go right and then we'll take the first right again to get back. Because like even now you're being a little easier on the throttle, so it's not just holding your revs way up.
Yeah.
It's smart enough to know the transmission logic and programming is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like I have guys that literally on the track, they're like, I just want to focus on my line, and the automatic does it better than I can because I've never driven.
Yeah.
So this first right here.
Oh, this one.
Looks like we're clear in front of us too. So this one, I want you to get on the throttle before you think you should. Like if you think like, okay, I should get on the throttle soon.
Oh,
as soon as you think that, get on the throttle. So coming out here, instead of rolling into it, right about here, just get on it. And then feel that front end.
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah.
And then we're going to go south 169, it's not the first exit, the next one. And the tires that are on this are not good, so it's got a lot more.
What tires is that right now?
Continental Extreme Contact Sports.
Oh, okay.
They're okay, but for a car
yeah.
like I run them on my TT.
Oh, sure. I can definitely tell the difference. Yeah, for sure. Because I run Michelin Pilot Super Sports.
Yes, that's really what this car should do.
Yeah.
They did develop a new tire with Continental.
Is that kind of their main?
That's for this car. It is.
Yeah.
They call it. It's a Contact something 6.
Sure.
So that tire alone, from the 2018 to 2019 model year, that tire as well as some suspension updates, dropped 2 seconds off their lap time at Suzuka.
Oh wow.
So the tire on the 2017s was bad. It was like a Continental Contact 5. So they did work on it with the 6s, but realistically, I think most guys will throw 4S's on here, and that's probably the best thing for it. Take the 81 exit coming up, and we'll have that it's going to be a right-hander into a left.
That's the long one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One on the right hand. inside, that's right. Yeah, I really like this.
The visibility is awesome.
I was just gonna comment on that. Like, no blind spots.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable.
I love the view of the intake vents and the side mirrors.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
If you count the side mirrors, this is 12 inches wider than your GTR.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I feel it for sure. I feel
yeah. It's a short, wide car.
Yeah.
A lot of guys actually, if you have they have small garages, they'll have to fold in one mirror. So we'll take this one. They'll have to fold in one mirror to get in their garage.
Oh, sure. I believe it.
And then we'll stay right here, so we'll see what these cars are doing. They're probably, nope, he's going left.
There we go. That's right. Oh, man. They're confused.
They're thinking they were going to get over, so.
And still, it's dual clutch transmission. Still,
Yep, 9-speed dual clutch. Yep. So
yeah, my favorite part is that it's. I mean, if I'm comparing the NSX to the GTR, definitely. I mean, and it's just a fault of the GTR is the transmission.
Oh yeah,
it's very loud and clunky. And but it definitely feels more raw.
Yep, for sure.
This feels
like if they had continued to evolve the GTR.
Yes,
this feels like a refined version of that.
Absolutely does. I agree with that.
And then we'll want to be in the left lane coming up here. I'm going to try and get you. Oh, actually, let's go right lane and we can maybe get a launch control here.
Oh, okay, nice.
So launch control in this car, totally different. Acura encourages you to do it as many times as possible. There's no one behind us, so we're good. So mash left foot on the brake, mash right foot on the gas. As soon as it beeps at you, let go.
Okay. I'll let go?
Yep. And we'll left of these cones. So it launches from 2,000 RPMs.
What?
So the reason Acura encourages you to do launch control as much as possible is because they're not putting any stress on the drivetrain. That's just something as a GTR owner you can appreciate.
Oh my god, big time.
Because yours, what is it, dumped from like 5,000, 4,200?
No, and like for mine, just because I've modded it and stuff like that, I mean, I can control that. But like when I'm at the drag strip, I'll probably do it at about 3,600.
Okay.
And then that way, because my turbos are a little bit bigger, so that way, I mean, the turbos spool real fast. And it shoots. It feels good. It's very similar to the GTR with the launch.
Oh yeah, I mean they're literally neck and neck. I have videos of. I think it does depend on the driver a little bit, but every time I've had a GTR that was stock with me, I've got them by.
Will kill it.
Oh yeah, I've got them by 2-ish car lengths or more.
Yeah, I believe that.
But the problem is most GTRs out there are not stock, and that is a platform you can do a lot more to than this.
And that's exactly
Terry did downpipes, exhaust, tune, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He pulled the tune off just because there's been some issues, and he wanted to let them figure that out before he put it back on.
Sure.
Realistically, just downpipes and exhaust and no tune, the car makes over 600.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah.
So it's 573 now. The interesting thing is, gasoline engine is 500. The rear electric motor is 47. Each of the front motors are 36. So when you add that all up, it's actually over 600. The problem is the electric motors make their peak horsepower at a much lower RPM than the gas engine.
Oh,
so total system power is 573.
Sure.
But you get interesting.
How would that work with like an all-wheel drive dyno? Let's say you're.
This is a very weird car to dyno. It's a very weird car to dyno. It took a while for people to really kind of get accurate figures from.
Yeah, you got. I don't think. Yeah.
0 to 60, I've seen anywhere from 2.9 to 3.1, depending on conditions, which is a very tight range.
Yeah.
Honestly, and then fastest I've seen on a modded car was like 2.8, maybe 2.7.
Sure.
I I think the 2.7 was like fully prepped back, all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
no, it feels it. I mean, because mine does. I have a Dragon, so I've
Yeah.
been able to kind of track it for at least.
do it, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm right around like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
3.2, and I definitely feel it. It's just
This will give
more
you,
collected.
Acura will tell you it's under 3 seconds.
Yeah, everyone.
You're pretty much going to get 3.0 or 2.9 every single time.
Wow.
It's just, with the electric motors, it's so consistent. And they've tuned the whole system. We'll go straight here and we'll turn in kind of behind the building. Kind of
Okay.
where I think you came in.
When I originally came,
Yeah, well, we saw you.
I saw
US
you over
Bank,
here, yeah.
And I was like,
And I was
oh,
like,
we missed
should
the
I?
turn.
And
Yeah. It either feels like you're going to the bank or you're going in out.
Yeah.
No, so they've tuned it so where as soon as the electric motors are starting to drop off in torque, the turbos have spooled. So we'll go this one right here. Car runs about 15 pounds of boost.
Oh, sure.
I have the full, if you want to really dig into the technical stuff, I have the full book back here.
That's interesting, yeah.
The manual in this thing for like the press stuff that they gave us is literally this big, and I've read it like 20 times, and I learned something every time I read it. Wow. There's a lot there. And this is my favorite thing to do when I get places like here, or when I drive in the car shows, we'll just do this. And everyone's like, they don't hear the car, and then they look and they're like, wait, why isn't it making any noise?
Yeah.
It just confuses me.
That's so fun.
And we'll just kind of nose in quick and try and get it forward. So reverse, you pull backwards.
And since mine's a 2009.
Yep. And then just push that in the cart. That's it. Absolutely.
So that was a test drive. The car was an absolute blast. If I were to compare it to the GTR, I don't think it really compares to one another because they're completely different, right? The NSX is a mid-engine supercar, whereas the GTR, I don't know if I really consider it a supercar, just because of how versatile it is. I can do everything that a supercar can do in that car, but I can have my kid in the back. I can have my wife in the passenger seat. There's a ton of storage space in the trunk. It's much more suited like a super coupe, maybe. I don't know. I really don't care what a supercar is and isn't. The biggest thing that I liked about the Acura NSX is the transmission. Obviously comes from a gripe of all sorts of GTR owners. But if you didn't know, the weak point on Nissan GTR is the transmission. It's one of the more faulty items on the car, and especially, when you're modding it, especially with launching, you're putting a lot of stress on the transmission. And with the Acura NSX, the way they have it geared up is pretty unique. As you guys saw in the video, I was able to launch the car at 2,000 RPMs, and David told me that, Acura actually, they promote you to launch the car because, launching it at 2,000 RPMs is not going to do much damage or much wear on the transmission. The other thing that I really liked about the Acura NSX is that it's an up-to-date car, right? My Nissan GTR is a 2009. The touchscreen is very finicky. The infotainment system in general, it seems outdated, right? However, the Acura NSX is pretty pricey. The one that we test drove was selling for about $120,000. Realistically speaking, I could buy 2 GTRs for the price of the NSX. And the other thing is that I'm a gearhead, right? Like, I enjoy driving cars, and maybe with an exhaust, it would have felt more, but it was really quiet. I can't knock the NSX for that because stock, the GTR sounds like a vacuum cleaner. At me, bro. But I'm wondering if the electric motor has a lot to do with that as well. But overall, the car is phenomenal. It's definitely an upgrade from my GTR. It's an amazing car overall. It handles great. We didn't have the best tires on it. Even with like Michelin Pilot Super Sports, I think it would outhandle the GTR in a sense where it's so ready for anything that you're really going to throw at it. That's kind of the best way I can explain it. But as David said, I think the NSX is kind of what we imagined the next GTR to be like. But I think for 120, I mean, this car started, they were asking, you know, around $200,000, and the price keeps dropping. And I think the reason for that is that at the end of the day, a person in that niche of a market, for the market that the Acura NSX is in, they should have priced it more similarly to the GTR. So anyways, I'm done ranting. For me, I think the GTR is much more fitting for my situation. I can compete with any of the supercars. I enjoy having my wife and my kid in the car while we're, you know, out for a drive or whatever the case may be. I enjoy sharing that experience with them. But yeah, so that's my opinion on it. I love the car. I do think it's an upgrade. So that's my thoughts on it. With that, we're going to end the video. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Memphis.